vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we're stronger.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, you know, whenever you see me here, we're going to have those conversations that we want to have to get the morning started and to ask those questions that you want to know. Now, this morning is a conversation like any other, and this morning I have joining me this morning Mr. Ricardo Alfred, who is the chairman of the Tobago Agro Business Development Company, as well as Mr. Kevon Mckenna, who is the marketing director for TADCO as well. And this morning the guys are here and we are talking about the new TADCO board of directors. Good morning, Mr. Alfred. How are you?
Yes, good morning to all. Good morning to Tobago.
It's always a pleasure to have you here. I mean, TADCO is no stranger to Good Morning Tobago or the Tobago Updates platform. I mean, the people always want to hear what you guys are doing, what new projects are happening at TADCO. And TADCO seems to be one of those companies under the THA that has been very active, doing a lot, getting into a number of different spheres, not only with food production, but we see a number of community-based development projects happening there as well. Some may even say you guys are even crossing over to Works' territory on a number of projects that you guys are doing. So this morning we're going to talk about a lot of that and so much more. But we're going to start off with the board of directors. We see a new face here this morning. We have Mr. Kevon Mckenna, someone who we have not seen on the board before. So good morning, Mr. McKenna, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago.
Good morning and welcome.
Now, we have seen you in a number of spheres within the THA, festivals in relation to the Tobago Carnival last year, and a number of other things, but we have not seen you working within the agri-business sector. So tell us a little bit about how this new appointment came about and when did this board become instituted?
When the board was constituted, the chairman would speak to that aspect, but I actually have been working with TADCO and the Division of Agriculture since last year, helping to develop the launch of the Food Hub Initiative and also the Le Estate.
Oh, right. We remember that one. That's when we went down to the river. We did the whole tour of Tobago and the whole cocoa and chocolate initiative. That was a good one. Excellent job there. So tell us a bit about when the new board became constituted.
Right. So the new board would have been constituted. The effective date would have been from the 2nd of January. We would have came into office just in February. If I can basically describe the board members. So we have Mr. Kevon Mckenna, who is an excellent person as relates to marketing. I followed Mr. McKenna's career for some time now. We are former schoolmates, both secondary and primary school. Our fathers both worked in the same industry in the TSTT, so I know Kevon work, I know of his ethics. We have Mr. Bentley Benjamin, who I believe is a perfect mentor. He's an excellent guy as relates to financing, and he does have a little of entertainment that brings a lot of activities to the company. We have Daniel, a new member, excellent person as well, very good in presentations, doing business plans. He has a wealth of experience that we believe that we can use. We have Mr. Owen Dillon, excellent farmer. He is one of the farmers in Tobago that have moved from a farmer to now business and to own a restaurant and is providing food to your plate. So he has moved from the dirt straight to the plate. We have Bernadette Kwashi. Bernadette Kwashi is my very good friend. I believe that she is one of the more excellent persons as relates to dealing with IR matters. I can't ask for a better IR person. We have Mr. Christmas, who is the elder. Mr. Christmas' contribution is very excellent. He is always willing to provide some keynotes on what we should do and how it was before and that kind of thing. Very good person. We have Mr. Hollis Walker, perfect person in terms of dealing with the fish aspect of it. He is very knowledgeable how to deal with the fish. He is currently working on getting persons who can do the come on the capital of Paradise and be trained. Currently, we have 2 persons that have been trained. I'm going to get them on some other boats. I'm going to speak more about that later on. We have, so what else we have there? We have the board secretary, Miss Abby Warner, very excellent person, always on point. She's very articulate. One of her better skills that of doing up the minutes in time and that type of thing. She's very good actually. I can't ask for a better person. So this board here is one of the better boards, I would say, in terms of the capabilities and the qualifications of the members there. And we are able to move a lot of mountains and do a lot of good stuff in this space.
Okay, and so no one from this new board was a part of the previous one?
Yes, we only had 3 new members, Mrs. Kevon Mckenna, Abby Warner, and Didan Daniel.
Right, and the rest of members, they were on the previous board?
Yes.
Right, so I just want to make that clear.
Yes.
So talk to us about the means of appointment. Is it that you're in charge of appointing members to the board, or is it the secretary that's in charge of?
So that's for record and for information. In terms of appointing people to the board, that lies solely and only with the secretary of the division, Mrs. Natisha Charles Panton.
Right.
Yeah, so that decision of who comes to the board lies with her.
Right, but you are able to make any recommendations on who you think would be a good fit? I
am guided by her choices.
Okay, excellent.
I'm guided by her choices.
Excellent.
Yes.
And let's talk a little bit about the capital of Paradise and that vessel and everything that's being done to increase the fleet on that vessel. Let's know what is the latest with the capital of Paradise.
Right, so the capital of Paradise would have come back to our waters last week. We would have exported, I believe it's just under 3,700 pounds of tuna. Has an equivalent of maybe 2,300,000 US. And the bycatch would have come to Tobago just under 1,500 pounds. That was sold out in a couple of, in about 2 hours' time, all was sold out. The aim of the capital of Paradise really is to really assist persons who in the long line trade. We have persons that train, and I want to share with persons as well. What we are embarking on right now is TADCO is in a space now where we can manage these aspects. I would want to put some stuff in the open as well, that we have some companies in Trinidad that have been looking at us in terms of managing. If there, and I'm appealing to all the investors, if you see it fit and you have a little money home, I'm appealing to you as well, right? And you want to invest in a vessel, you can buy the vessel and have TADCO manage it. Come in to us, let us sit down and have some numbers. The management fee for these things are normally between 5 to 10% of the profit. And let us manage this space. We have persons that are trained. One guy, another Walker, he is going to be, I am positioning him to go on another vessel to see, so that he can expand his horizon. And this is what we have to do. The vessel is going to be used for training, that we can actually provide crew and provide some aspect of persons and longevity in this industry. So we are in conversation with a couple of people as well locally here in Tobago, whereas they have the same boat, but they want to have TADCO manage it. Okay. Managing these assets are very, very challenging in terms of crew, the operation, where to go, monitoring the weather is a very time-consuming and very, very tricky career. And
so I want to talk a little bit about that food box initiative. Now, the last time you came here, we spoke extensively about that. We spoke about, I think it was Nouveau Farms, who you guys had contracted to do some of the processing for the box. There was also slight backlash that came from some persons that may not have been 100% satisfied with it. How often, I want to ask about the board itself, does the board turn over? Is it every year you guys change the board?
The board is valid for 1 year currently.
It's valid for 1 year.
Yes.
So did the impact of the food box initiative have any impact on the actual changing over of the board and persons being removed from that board?
Well, no, I will take that question. That doesn't impact because that's operational matters and it can continue. In fact, in the month of March here, we are set to distribute over 1,000 food boxes. the items such as the chicken, the pork, cassava, composite bread, cassava mash, breadfruit waffle mix, sweet potato mix, cassava waffle mix, all from Tobago suppliers. It's interesting to note, well, since December we have been doing this. So since December you have 1,000 food boxes being distributed through the area representatives or the village councils to pick them up and they will distribute. Also, we have to, what is good is that since September, we have distributed over 35,000 chickens because we have this program now where TADCO is holding the farmer's hand. So we provide you with the chickens, we provide you with the feed, most recently we added the medication. You rear the chickens and then we purchase these chickens back from you. These chickens are now what is used in the live boxes, in the food boxes.
Right. And have we seen any turnover with that particular project as yet? Can we quantify the success of that poultry farm initiative?
Well, it's a pilot project. I'd want it to also remove us from, we're always talking about we're bringing in the foreign chicken, right? So this is a pilot project to remove that where we can start to feed ourselves, and probably within a 2-year period, you can see Tobago comfortably feeding itself and exporting to probably Trinidad and other Caribbean islands.
Yes.
Okay, and so what I want to ask you, Mr. Alfred, is what would be the success measures for this particular poultry farm initiative? How do we measure its success?
Right, so first we have to understand the facts. 43 million birds are consumed annually in Trinidad and Tobago. 250,000 of that is Tobago, which include both local and the foreign chicken. Our target really is that if we can have, within the next 2 years, at least 100,000 birds coming from Tobago monthly, that will be our goal. Currently where I work, I see what comes on the island on a daily basis. I actually see what comes on the CARICOM jetty and who is buying what on a daily basis. If we are able to have, and chicken is the cheapest meat, it's one of the cheapest form of protein as well. If we are able to have, and this is why we had an investment forum, to get persons and the business sector involved. If you are doing 1,000 chicken, let's do some simple figures here. 1,000 chicken requires, if you get a chick at $10, right? That's 10,000 that you need right there. Over the pace of 6 weeks, you need 60 bags of feed. That's 18,000. That's $28,000 that you would need to do 1,000 chicken. That is just for the bird and the feed. I ain't even talking about infrastructure. What we are saying, we would provide that, right? Give you the chicken to mine, through contract, of course. Take it back from you and process it and put it back on the market that is going towards places like the hospital, places like the school feeding program, into the same food box, right? Then you can build a constant commodity on the island. Tobago lacks a constant commodity on the island, and chicken is the cheapest meat right now. With the business sector now, if they are able to buy or invest in the cottage facility, which is the poultry cottage facility, in an equipment that could do between 1,500 birds to 3,000 birds per hour, that is all that they can do, no problem. If they are doing 10,000 birds an hour, and let's say they kill a chicken for, let's say, $250, that's $25,000 per day. I believe that the business sector can get involved now and say, you know what, I'll put out $2 million to invest in this, and this is their operation. Let the private sector run that. There's another aspect of it. You have the hatchery. Again, private sector can now get involved. The other aspect of it is in terms of the packaging and the labeling and all. There are so much different services that could be provided, and we have to get the private sector involved. I'm not saying that the average person cannot do these programs, but we believe that if we start by, you were speaking about where the board is and where the board. So the legacy right now of this board is that if we started the poultry project, we have the introduction of the capital of paradise, what it is doing. I think we have been very transparent in everything in what we are doing so far with the capital of paradise. Even the public, when the boat comes to Tobago, the public can go on the boat, they can view it, they can ask the crew anything. And then and to the persons who are involved in the flower initiative, we're just having some hiccups right now as relates to the tractors. But we are going to be pursuing it in terms of having a factory here that can produce flour. So, there was some talk about tractor pool and TADCO and so on. And just to clear the air, TADCO has no interest in running tractor pool. We have no interest in that. The aim of this really is that you have dedicated tractors to deal with the cassava people. We are in conversation with a couple of persons who want flour. And the average they want is 20 ton a month of flour. But 100 pounds will give you 30 pounds of, 100 pounds of cassava will give you 30 pounds of flour. So you understand the quantity. And by having these dedicated tractors to deal with those things, persons don't have to worry about getting their place plow, getting their place reap, and all of these things, because time is money, and we have to build out a consistent supply of these things, right? So,
and what is it that we need at this point in time to get to that place?
I mean, of sustainability?
Not just the sustainability, but to make these ideas and these plans come to life.
Investment. I'm really appealing to all the persons that have a little money, or the investors, to really come and let us have some conversation. Let our projects be one of the PPP arrangement, public-private partnership.
Right.
I am in conversation with someone on Friday. I don't want to put out so much things, but we are willing to assist them in them running certain stuff. The private sector needs to get involved.
And question,
yes.
We recently saw that the Chief Secretary went to the trade show in Germany. Was there any representatives from TADCO there trying to get international investment in TADCO? And I know recently they went to Dubai for that international investment conference. So when we talk about getting that investment from the private sector, I would think that it's not just strictly investors from Trinidad and Tobago, but looking for that international investment opportunity to really help to develop the sector. Talk to us about investment internationally, global, what is being done to seek international investment?
Right, so yes, there was a trade show. No, we didn't have any representatives there. However, I believe that once Tobago is marketed, once you have these hotels and these restaurants that want to invest, they would need food. Food is common. And most of these hotels would like to look at the local input. If we can provide a constant commodity, it would be a win. So I believe that there are talks happening as relates to making Tobago an investment place. Just that we need to put the structures in place to really ensure this is happening. And let's go back to the food box. You spoke about the Novo, and just to be clear again, we have not paid Novo any money as yet, because we want persons to increase their capacity so that we can reduce how much is going there. So far, we have paid persons close to $200,000 per month in terms of who is doing the poultry, the cassava bread, the different cassava suppliers. All these people are paid, and they are putting us into the.
So all the suppliers are paid except for Novo?
I don't want to say except for Novo. You see, you have to understand that we want to increase the capacity of persons here, right? And then put that into the space and then deal with the other issues. We have to balance that balance in here, right?
Okay. Well, what does that say for external relationships?
No, we have great relations, because there are other stuff that is happening. So
when the external supplier could hold longer, the small
because of their capacity.
Yes.
May not be able to.
Yeah. So,
and if you don't mind, Mr. Mckenna, where do you really see this food box initiative going, as opposed to where it is now?
Well, the food box is really to help in a situation where we came out of COVID, and we know a number of persons in Tobago may not be able to make the ends meet. So it's really a helping hand. Could it be something that you can carry on for 5-10 years? No, right? So I would say it's a short-term thing. But in doing that, you still, as you say, using the farmers, you're building the capacity on the island, which eventually would create jobs. Because when a farmer starting off with 100 chickens, and let me say you move to 1,000 chickens, naturally you'll have to hire staff, right? So it is a way to increase your capacity on the island.
Okay, so is it something that you guys want to look into having more seasonally, as opposed to something that happens ongoing throughout the year? Like, let's just say, for instance, there's Christmas coming up, then you guys have a food box initiative again, and whatever seasons that might require more food assistance, maybe in the middle of a natural disaster. Yeah. I don't know. What is the plan? Because
at Christmas time, I think everybody does hampers. So I wouldn't even say to do it at Christmas. I would say probably do it in the downtime when nobody is looking at these people. Also, we want to increase our farmers' we had 45 persons participating in the program so far. I know that we have distributed chickens to about 39 farmers. So persons such as Mr. Ronald Wood, he just every time I come here, I just call his name, but he's an easy picking. You look in the back there, see him, who is very active in farming. Check out TADCO and become a farmer, become registered, do the training program, which is not hard at all, and they will hold your hand. And I mean, you're already experienced because you're custom rearing chickens. Also, we have about 2,000 birds in storage. So you can check them out for caterers or persons who want to do the agro-processing. If you want to do a smoked chicken, whatever the case may be, you can check them out.
Okay, and before we move on, when it comes to the food box initiative, you said that usually the way how it works is that you give it to the area representatives and they distribute it to members of their district community. That's how it works. But what if someone is really in need and they kind of want to come directly to TADCO? Is that possible, or do they have to go through their area rep, give them a call, tell them they're interested in getting a food box?
The reason why I think you would use the area representatives that they're supposed to be on the ground, so they should know the needs, and the area representatives, they have also been using their village councils, right? Most of these village councils, I think, had elections recently because they did over the entire structure for village councils through the National Village Councils Association or something like that. So by them linking with the village councils should be the lifeline of what is going on in the area. So it's just a person to reach out to that village council president or even the area representative, and they would see how best they can help. And remember, outside of these area representatives themselves and even village councils have been doing hamper distribution. I know Ms. Morrison has always been actively doing that every month. She's packing a hamper and distributing. So you have that area representative, I would say, a village council.
Okay, and Mr. Alfred, before we kind of round up this interview, tell us a bit more about the investment process and the areas that directly need investment now. We spoke about the food box initiative, we spoke about the poultry farm initiative, and we spoke about the capital of paradise. What is the structure of investment? How does it work? How do people become investors?
Right, so what we have right now is some presentations that we would have presented to a few investors at last Thursday at the Shore Park complex. So we put out the structures where we are, and Mr. Keith George. Mr. Keith George is is our livestock director. Excellent person, wealth of knowledge. I mean, they couldn't ask for anybody better. So he would have prepared this document. This document have where we are, what TADCO is doing, and where we need to be. And he also provided the inputs, what is needed to take the sector. So what is needed right now is a cottage facility that could process anything between 1,500 birds and up per hour. And that is what is needed right now. What we have on the island really is the local persons who are doing maybe, to kill 500 birds will take some time. It will not be one day. But for anybody who understands business, if you have birds that are 6 weeks, at the end of 6 weeks, those birds need to be slaughtered. Beyond 6 weeks, it's going to cost you feed, time, and labor. But they would need to have a facility here on the island that could definitely assist in doing these things in large numbers. The investment is for persons who have a little extra money that want to maybe build out a farm that could do 40,000 birds. This is the numbers that we have to reach in able to have a sustainable product, right? Just to recap on the capital of paradise. So the capital of paradise would have had some some battery operated beacons. We have since graduated into proper beacons.
Is it solar operated? Or?
No, so they use satellite feed.
Okay.
But it's a sealed battery and they are rechargeable. Okay. We want to be able to loan this battery operated circuit, we're not using it now, to a long line vessel that is coming up. These beacons is like this. So our line is about 40 miles long. That's 40 nautical miles, right? That's 1,852 meters. It's longer than a land mile. Every 10 or so miles, you put a beacon. So if the line bursts, you're able to find it. So we want to assist other longliners in terms of getting some of these equipments. So this is the start. So we can loan them this, have them build up their status and becoming more efficient, then they can pass it on to another fleet while building capacity. But we also want to increase our fleet. But we believe that getting the private sector involved and getting them whereas to invest, whereas they could just sit back and watch their investment, we would just do the managing part of it, right? That is where we need to be, instead of owning the asset. Private sector involvement is very key in these aspect of it. I'm not saying that the THA may not have a hand in it, but you need to kind of pass the baton a little to the private sector to allow them to grow and employ people. There's so much different things that could come out of this aspect.
Right. And last year there were a lot of discussions, a lot of talk. We had launches, we had events happening at that Shore Park Food Hub.
Yes.
Where is the Food Hub now, and what is the plan for the Food Hub?
Well, most recently we have increased the marketing at the Food Hub through events, of course. So right now we have the aerobics and the karaoke happening on Thursdays. We have the Men Can Cook coming on stream within the next 2 weeks. That will run for approximately, I think it's 5 weeks. We also have the Le hike and the Cocoa experience. That's up at Goldsboro, going in there.
All fours.
Oh yes, and we have the All Fours. The All Fours is actually very much well attended. We also expect a very high audience turnout for the Men Can Cook. Recently, we had the Office of the Chief Sec staff taking a mental day and experiencing the tour. So, the tour is just under about $250. All right, it's a guided tour. You have the waterfall hike, you have the cocoa experience, you learn about the history of our cocoa and that farm. And also you have the option of, when you're finished, you can wind down with a river line, where you can either order food or you can cook the food yourself.
Excellent. And there has been a little bit of chatter on the ground about TADCO possibly doing some community development initiatives that include like building drains and stuff like that. Is that
Reforestation or TADCO?
Yes. Is that
well,
any?
No,
that's
I believe no. That's not TADCO.
That's under the division.
Another entity. Yeah, that's not TADCO.
Okay, so do you know anything about that initiative?
I've heard, just like you have heard the rumors, but I can safely say is not TADCO.
Okay.
Yes, but
right.
What I would want to say as well too is that anything in the community is a win for that community, regardless of who is performing it. There are a lot of communities that are in need of certain stuff. I myself, in my community, I would put out a lot of bins and stuff in the area. So anything that anyone does or any entity is a win for that community. That's all I would say on that. As it relates to the Food Hub, just to add, so to all the vendors, we heard your cry. We were putting now we have our own speaker system there with televisions for entertainment, and there's 2 attractions that are coming that is definitely going to increase the amount of persons coming there, and these things will be tendered out. So we're going to be having a bar coming on soon, very soon. There will be tendered out to persons. We're going to be having use of the those
car park. We actually have rented the car park for upcoming party.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things happening, and all the promoters, please feel free to contact us if you want to host an event. Keep in mind that what the Food Hub offer is in-house dining, if you want to call it, because we have stuff set up for vending. We have our own toilets facility, and we have our own electricity. So if you want to reduce your cost in terms of rental of toilets, generators, and then you have the huge car park area there that you can put up stage and stuff. So there's so much things I know that can be derived from it. If you want to do your wedding reception, all of these things can be an option. Yeah.
So we are
Excellent.
cheaper venue. The event is crowd controlled. Actually, that's slipped my mind there. That is on the 8th of April. It's going to be big, I think. See him bringing a Jamaican artist. Okay. Yeah, so that's going to be exciting to see.
TADCO doing a lot on the island, and we see a lot happening with the Food Hub as a venue, not just for vending, but just a pretty good place for Tobagonians and visitors to hang out and stuff.
Yes, and what we're going to be doing on a Sunday evening, those parents who have the kids, bring down their bike, come down to the food hub, there are going to be some activities soon where we can get the family involved, because the family element is very key in terms of building relationships, in terms of making strong characters, and
building
also
the
and building the
society.
society. So there are going to be some activities there for children.
Excellent. Well, guys, you heard it here. TADCO is doing a lot here on the island of Tobago, and there's no stopping them, clearly. But before we go, I want to make an announcement that the Tobago Festivals Commission Limited wishes to advise Tobagonians and all persons interested in attending the Tobago Jazz Festival that tomorrow, Wednesday, the 29th, that only persons can get $100 off of their jazz experience tickets, and it applies to all tickets for all events. The promotion runs from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Shore Park Complex in Tobago and the Queen's Hall in Trinidad. Shore Park Complex will facilitate cash transactions only, while Queen's Hall will conduct both cash and card, links or credit card transactions. Persons are also advised that the payday special is limited to 4 tickets per person. So for further information, the commission can be contacted at 639-4441 or 612-0133 or the Tobago Festivals at gmail.com, or visit their website at tobagofestivals.com. So you heard it there, guys. That's the payday special. So you get paid and you want to go jazz, tomorrow is the day to buy your tickets, right? So guys, again, we thank the members of the TADCO board for coming on with us this morning and chatting about everything that's happening down there at TADCO. And stay tuned because we have a lot more coming right after the break.
I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear